GTII finally touches the support level that we've been talking about for quite some time now. Let's go ahead and find out what could be happening for the following weeks, as I do see something very, very interesting brewing. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with a GTII technicals, raw price action, and statistical thread of analysis on this happy Friday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, you guys, so yes, we absolutely got that touch of the support area that we were talking about, right? This is considering a very small gap on the 3-day time frame. This gap can actually be seen over a few time frames too. Okay, you guys, but this is one of the inflection points that we noticed, right? And it is also one of the stronger demand zones that it does have. Okay, now we do have another demand zone below here. We already spoke about that, right? But I would like to go over a few things here because I am growing very curious. But first of all, let's just touch on the stochastic momentum movement that we've been actually tracking, right? So I just want to show you how it's moving. Okay, so if you are keeping in line, or if you are keeping track of this with me, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So let's just go ahead and dim the lines down, as now we're starting to get the piercing of the actual moving averages, right? So we'll just dim this one down just a little bit too, just so in case when it starts crossing it, then we know exactly what's happening. Okay, so please remember, you guys, I left this here from a few days ago, and we're just going to leave it there and see if it is going to see if the actual moving averages move along our projected target, right? So we'll go ahead and take a look at that as we move. But it's looking good. The reason we're doing this is because this would essentially, kind of catapult GTII to a pretty high target. And seeing the fact that we're increasing volatility right now and pressuring that moving average to the upside, that's a very good sign. So let's go ahead and move on to the next chart, because this is essentially what I wanted to show you. It's actually since the beginning of the video, right? I was explaining to you that I do see something interesting, and this is it right here. Please notice that we're getting an upside tick on the EMA 3 and the SMA 14 of the 8-hour time frame, and we are now re-increasing that volatility. Okay, so we did get that breakout out of the critical volatility zone. We actually got the base and then continued onwards, right? So this marks the continuation of a pretty nice statistical move. Okay, so anytime that this happens, right, anytime that we have this criteria meet between volatility and momentum, this means that we're going to get a pretty nice upside. Okay, you guys, so let's go ahead and now move on to the next chart and see what we have. Okay, so I understand that I still had these targets down here regarding the Gaussian channel on the 3-day time frame. This space of about 85.86 to 82.97 was essentially that area that we were looking for, right, alongside the 2.272 at 84.84 cents. So it's not to say that we're not, I'm sorry, I'm just, I want to be clear here that there is still a possibility where we can actually come back down and shake out some longs and then continue on to the upside. I just want to make sure that we keep these supports in line and in our visibility in case the price action does go to that direction. But now, focusing on the bi-daily time frame, please notice that the falling wedge that we've been talking about for some time is still being respected. Price action came right above and reclaimed the inside of the wedge again. Okay, you guys, so this is looking very good. Let me go back to the 8-hour time frame, because I'm sorry, I forgot to mention one more thing within this. Let's go ahead and look at the 30-minute. Okay, I hope it's downside. Yes, okay, so what I want to show you here is what I would look for trading an asset. Okay, so this is let's just say that this were just for a day trade or something, right? So what I want to see is the 30-minute, maybe the hourly. I would prefer the bi-hourly to have an upside, but if it has a downside, it's still okay-ish. But we definitely want to have upside pivots of the stochastic momentum indicator starting on the 4-hour. Okay, so that would be the criteria that I would usually look for when I want to long. An asset. Okay, so we have that downside here on the 30-minute. Great. That means that we have the opportunity to let's just per se, right, because I have the paper trading simulator up right here, right? I usually practice. I practice often. Okay, you guys. So that would be the long entry, right? We would just come down ever so slightly, then we would get that long entry because of the downside pivot on the immediate short-term time frame. That would be the accumulation phase, right? So as we accumulate, the price action sees that we're still getting that downside on the hourly, right? Now the buy hourly is actually suggesting upside. Okay, so this would be a continuation of accumulation right here. Okay, you guys, so that would be very ideal. Now let's go into the 4 hour. Okay, so the 4 hour time frame, upside pivot as well. We absolutely have increasing volatility. It's meeting our criteria nice. Okay, now into the 6 hour, we have a little bit of a pivot there and increasing volatility. What I am showing here is, again, the domino effect, the cascading time frames into each other. We want the 30-minute to bleed into the hourly. We want the hourly to bleed into the buy hourly, right? And now starting from this upside pivot, we want the buy hourly to give that upside pivot to the 4 hour, to the 6 hour, and so on. Okay, so now the 8 hour time frame also has that upside pivot. The 12 hour should not have it. Okay, there we go. So we do have that downside on the 12 hour, and of course on the daily as well. This marks the reason we're seeing this on the 12 hour starting is because this was from the previous cycle of accumulation versus distribution. Okay, you guys. So what I'm trying to say here is that we're getting close to a very likely upside continuation. Okay, so meaning that I know that this ticker is heavily manipulated and everything, but day traders, professional day traders, especially systematic ones, this is a condition that is usually met for a long trade. Okay, so if the price action is not actually making upside moves from this type of setup here, well, then we know what's going on, right? So, but yes, this is essentially the setup that I look for. Man, when I saw this, actually, I was kind of itching. I'm like, oh my goodness, should I actually set up a different account so that I can trade this to the upside? This is literally a setup that I look for every day. For assets to trade, right? So let's go ahead and just move on to the last part of the analysis here, guys, and that's going to be the RSI, right? So let's focus on the immediate short-term time frame, 30-minute, and you can see here that the 30-minute is suggesting an upside, but it is limited with that SMA 14 represented by the pink line in the way, which also lines up with the downside that we're getting on stochastics in the 30-minute chart on the other chart. Okay, so we would get that very slight upside, then a continuation to the downside. And in that downside, we have the support from the buy hourly. So the buy hourly would face a very short-term support from not only the SMA 14, but also from the fact that we are sitting in the gravitational zone of the bear strength percentile. So we would find support from the SMA 14 and the gravitational zone before a continuation to the upside. Okay, so now we do have some serious resistances happening within all of these time frames here, but I would like to point out something that may encourage, actually not on this time frame, it would be more on the 12 hour and even, let me see the 8 hour just in case it does have it. Maybe, okay, but yeah, let's go ahead and start off with the 12 hour. So meaning by the end of the session, come Tuesday, because remember, markets will be closed in observance of the Memorial Day, Monday, right? So it's going to be closed. So this is what I want to point out here. We have a downside pivot, yes, on the SMA 14, but we have an upside pivot of the RSI, and it's leading into the gravitational zone. So we have two upside strengths versus one downside, and that usually kind of favors the upside, right? Because we have a gravitational zone here, and also notice right down here on the daily time frame, same situation, right? So now as we jump into the buy daily, of course, we have that SMA 14 on the opposing side's gravitational zone, which would then serve as resistance before downside, right? But I would like you to know that buy daily time frame resistance at that SMA 14 is kind of a distance away, and we would actually have a pretty nice upside from that, at least to recover what we're doing, the entire capitulation that we've looked at, right? So if we were to face a pretty nice upside like that, then I can actually see a move right up to the resistance level of these candles right here. right, and the opening of this candle right here, and several other candles that are sharing confluence, right? So in that case, we would find a very immediate short-term downside, potentially face that 85.90 to 84, and then a bounce to the upside to eventually find resistance between an area. Okay, so that range would be this. Okay, of course, 107 is the top side, located right at the one spot, 618 golden mean, the Fibonacci ratio, right? But the other section would actually be, I'm sorry, the zone of support, right? It would be a range like this right here, right? So we want to be able to find it. It's very likely for us to actually find resistance at that 107, and we would come back at that 94 area for validation of support. Before hopefully a continuation to the upside, right? So that would be highly ideal. So now if we were to measure what we would do, right? Let's just say that we did gain that entry paper trade on that 84-cent zone. We make our upside to the 107 target. That's about a 26.36% move to the upside. That's pretty strong. Okay, you guys, so this move up here can absolutely flash the upper time frames into what we're looking for, the cascading effect, right? So starting off from here, right, from the 4 hour, this 4 hour would lead to that upside, right? It would retrace just a little bit because of the natural ebb and flow. Then the 6 hour, 8 hour, and 12 hour would finally start to show that upside pivot. Okay, you guys, so remember, I'm not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence, and everything will be cool. Okay, you guys, but with that said, I wish you well, a very, very good weekend, and I will catch you at the bell. Please remember, on Tuesday. Adios.